So hello everyone and welcome to this live webinar on Google Analytics 4. My name is Parag. I work as a product marketing manager at Hevo. I'll be your today's host and moderator for this session. So before we start, let me introduce you to our today's speaker, Nikhil Parachure. Hi Nikhil, welcome to
Hi.
the session.
Hey, hi everyone.
So Nikhil is a founder of a marketing agency called Measured, and he's also a founder of one of the marketing community called MyGrowth.Club. All right. So before we start, so just an important note for everyone. So all attendees will be on listen only mode. We are going to record this session, obviously, and going to send you the recording link and presentation post this session. If you have any questions during the session, then just type them in the Q&A window available on your screen, and we will address them one by one at the end of this session. All right, so here is the flow of today's session. So I'll do the quick introduction about our today's speaker. Then, Nikhil will take over from there. He'll do a detailed presentation about Google Analytics 4. Then in the end, we will address all the questions that you guys have, and then we will close this conversation. All right. So let me start with a quick introduction to Hevo. So we, as we all deal with a lot of volume and variety of data, and data silos or integrating data is a tedious and time-consuming task for all of us. So that's where Hevo actually comes into picture. So Hevo is a no-code data pipeline platform that helps new age businesses integrate data spread across multiple sources into a centralized repository, which is typically a data warehouse. So the platform provides 100 plus pre-built integrations with different types of data sources that includes databases, data warehouses, SaaS applications, SDK, and streaming services, and many more. So it helps you easily connect your data sources and unify data in just a few minutes. Okay, now all of this. With all of this, you have got your data in a data warehouse. Now the next logical step is to use it for analytics, reporting, and decision making. So for that, we have launched a new product called Hevo Activate. So it lets you connect your warehouse data with any of your marketing, sales, or business applications. With this tool, you will be able to gather all your customer data into one tool and find actionable insights on the go. For an example, if you are using a lot of marketing tools like let's say ad platforms, Bing or Google Ads, or maybe attribution platforms, you can connect all of that data together, even Google Analytics, Google Drive, all of that data together, save it in BigQuery, Snowflake, Redshift, any of the warehouse. Hevo also provides, fully managed warehouse service. So you can use that if you don't have an existing warehouse in place. You can use that, create a single source of truth for your marketing data, and then just plug that data and use it for analytics in any of the CRM or business platforms that you use, like HubSpot, Salesforce, any of those famous tools. All right. So there are actually thousands of data professionals and marketers currently using Hevo to solve their complex data problems with the help of unified data. So if you want to try, our product or know more about, how Hevo works and how it will help you solve your use case, then just go to our website, www.hevodata.com. You can sign up for a free trial. We also have a free plan, so you can try out that and see how Hevo would be able to solve your data problems. Cool. So now let me introduce you to our today's speaker. Nikhil is nothing short of a Swiss knife of digital marketing. Over the course of 15 years, so he has been involved in practically every facet of digital marketing and analytics, starting his career with paid search Nikhil has built and managed award-winning digital campaigns, has been one of the top contributors of Google AdWords. So he has planned and implemented several complex and large-scale web and mobile analytics implementations while he was working with brands like iProspect, Myntra, Agio, AppsFlyer. Currently, Nikhil is building India's first measurement agency named as Measured, with which he intends to build a bridge between marketing and business metrics. Along with this, he has founded MyGrowth.Club, which is a community of marketers for marketers by marketers. So with this introduction, I welcome Nikhil and request him to take over the control and start with the presentation. Nikhil, over to you.
Hey Parag, thanks a lot. I didn't realize I was on mute and I started talking. Sorry about that. Thanks a lot for introduction. That was really nice of you. And I'll just share my screen and get started with the presentation. So hi everyone. This presentation is about, so as Parag has already introduced everything, I'll just jump right into the subject. So this presentation is about Google Analytics 4. Google Analytics 4 was launched in October 2020. And when it was launched, it seemed like another innocuous update of Google Analytics, which it has been doing over last few years. But as I started digging deeper into it, and as we all realize, this is not another innocuous update of the product itself. It's a new product itself on its own. Practically speaking, Google Analytics 4 has nothing to do with the Universal Analytics, which is the older version of Google Analytics. So I'll be referring to Universal Analytics as the older version of Google Analytics. And practically speaking, Google Analytics 4 has been evolved as a completely new product without practically any ties with Universal Analytics. That means there are opportunities, there are amazing updates and opportunities to dive data deeper. Also, there are challenges. There are challenges from learning perspective. There are challenges from code perspective. There are challenges from migration perspective. In this session, we are going to understand the challenges as well as opportunities that GA4 presents to the marketers. Now, before we start with GA4, I'll just run you through the brief history of how Google Analytics has come where it is now. In 1995, in San Diego, a small company was founded named Urchin Analytics, and they built the first of its kind web analytics tool, which was essentially first of its kind client-side analytics tool. And they built and published Urchin 1 to Urchin 7, several versions of Urchin, which had different features released with each version, with Urchin 7 being the most mature version of that product. While this was happening, Google had an eye on Urchin, and in 2005, Google acquired Urchin. In the same year, basically Google just changed the logo of Urchin and made it Google Analytics and launched it as Google Analytics. Although nothing else changed, it remained Urchin. I used to actually use Urchin for a bit back then, and when it became Google Analytics, hardly anything changed other than logo, at first at least. In 2007, Google started changing Urchin. It added multiple features, and it also came up with new JavaScript tracking code, which was GA.js, which was a synchronous code back then. Synchronous and asynchronous codes are, in short, synchronous code is where all tasks are performed in sequence, 1 after 2, 2 after 3, 3 after 4. While asynchronous code is where wherever slots are available, tasks can be performed without any dependencies. So asynchronous code is much more flexible and much more robust. So in 2009, Google released a GA.js asynchronous version, which basically made a lot of changes to the code itself. Then in 2011, GA Premium was launched. Until this point, all of GA was free. No matter how many hits you had, how many visitors you had, no sampling wasn't an issue, nothing. Everything was working fine. In 2011, Google introduced GA Premium for customers who had higher volume and also for customers who required SLA. So in 2011, as GA Premium was launched, there were limitations put on free GA for sampling. In 2012, Universal Analytics was launched, and along with that, new JS called analytics.js. Universal Analytics made it easier or possible for marketers to track properties other than websites. It allowed marketers to track app to some extent. Not only that, but it also allowed marketers to integrate their POS systems, CRM systems, or any other system which interacts with their customers with Google Analytics. In 2017, gtag.js was launched. Gtag.js was a groundbreaking technology or groundbreaking change that basically unified all Google measurement with one code. gtag.js now takes care of everything from AdWords tagging to Google Analytics tagging. This was a precursor to Google Analytics 4, and in 2020 October, Google Analytics 4 was launched finally. So this is a short history of Google Analytics and how we have come where we are right now. Here are some fun facts about Google Analytics. Right? If you have used Google Analytics, you must have realized before GA4, there was a Google Analytics property ID, which was in the format of UA, then X, and then UA, and then 1, and then there were multiple numbers of 10 digits after that. In that, UA actually stood for Origin Analytics. This has been a property ID since the days of Origin Analytics, and it remained till 2020. So Google actually persisted with the nomenclature that Origin Analytics had put 15 years ago. After 15 years, in 2020, finally, when GA4 was launched, Google changed it to G-XXX. UTM parameters is probably one of the most important and most popular terminology when it comes to marketing analytics. Other than Google Analytics, there are several other systems, CRM systems, as well as attribution systems, which actually recognize UTM parameters for their own attribution or any kind of reporting. Now, UTM actually stands for Origin Tracking Mechanism, Origin Tracking Module. And this still exists. Even with GA4, UTM parameters haven't gone away. So legacy of Origin is still living after 15 years of being acquired. One of the important facts that not many people would know is Google Analytics has 2 demo accounts with real user data in it. One demo account is for e-commerce store, which Google runs for its own merchandise, and it has been implemented with Google Analytics, obviously, and all of that data is publicly available in Google Analytics demo account. The other one is for apps. There is an app on Play Store called Floodit, and that app is available as demo data for Google Analytics as well. I'll just quickly show you how it looks like. So this is I'm sorry, I think I'm not sharing the right screen. Yeah, here we go. So this is Google Analytics demo account for Floodit, which is the app part of it. You can look at all the user behavior data, which is real user behavior data, and you can browse through them. Even you can create custom reports with help of Analytics Hub in this module. Another account that Google has is Google Merchandise Store account. So if you want to look at e-commerce data instead of gaming data, so Floodit essentially is gaming data. If you want to look at e-commerce data, you can navigate to Google Merchandise account in the demo accounts, and you will be able to find out e-commerce reporting for Google Analytics 4 or Universal Analytics for that matter. Just switching back the screen. Here we go. Back to the PPT. Yeah. Now, what has changed in Google Analytics 4 versus Universal Analytics? One of the most important changes is Universal Analytics has had a classical interface and classical session-based logic, which was eventually built more than 15 years ago in old days of Origin. There were some changes to interface, but eventually the logic of session-based attribution remained same for 15 years, and which also put limitations on how much flexibility you can have in the interface itself. So essentially, it was a 15-year-old tool, and with GA4, everything changes. This is an event-based and user-based modern analytics system, which actually has been in use by most of the other analytics tools for a very long time. Finally, GA has caught up there. Session-based attribution, which has been used in Universal Analytics, goes away with Google Analytics 4, and event-based, which is more friendlier towards app measurement, comes into picture, which was used to some extent in Firebase for a long time, but it wasn't ported to GA. In Universal Analytics, you had a typical view of account. Under account, you had properties, and under that, you had views, which were supported by filters. Here, it's basically account, property, and data streams. Data streams are web, app, or any other offline data stream that you want to build. Tracking IDs were in format of UA-XXX, which is essentially still stood for Urchin Analytics and then ID, which now changes finally after 15 years to G-XXXX. New interface highlights. What is new in this interface? Universal Analytics had a lot of pre-built reports, and it was session-based. Google Analytics 4 is event-based, so session-level reporting is highly limited, which actually doesn't matter a lot in especially for mobile devices. The inbuilt reports are very few, but it gives a great flexibility to build your own reports with help of analytics tools. Sorry about that. Analytics Hub, sorry. Analytics Hub is a great visualization tool with which you can build multiple types of visualizations, multiple types of reporting, including conditional, unconditional funneling, as well as almost real-time funneling. Vertical based reporting is an interesting concept that Google Analytics 4 has introduced, although it's not really rolled out fully yet. What it does is basically vertical based reporting is first phase. Google has launched a vertical based interface for gaming. So Google Analytics 4 has a reporting interface which is specially meant for gaming, which you can explore with Google Analytics demo flooded account. Check it out. It's quite interesting. And I hope Google also comes up with other vertical reportings for e-commerce or lead gen or B2B, etc. Now, one of the most important features that has been released with GA4 or Google Analytics 4 has been the change in the way events are built. Historically, Google Analytics events or Universal Analytics events were limited to 3 dimensions, which was category, action, and label. I have seen people, or even I myself have done it at times, that I have flooded one specific label of category or action or label with multiple values by having separators like underscore or hyphen or something like that, just to make sure that I actually get all the event properties inside those 3 dimensions that I had. But you're no longer limited by that. Now, first of all, you're not limited to 3 dimensions. You can have up to 25 custom dimensions per event. But more importantly, the keys, you were limited to keys of category, action, and label. That is not the case now. You can have your own custom keys as you wish. You can have keys like name is equal to Nikhil, level is equal to 2, level up is equal to level 3, or anything like that. You are not limited by the category, action, label values, as well as you are not limited by number of dimensions, which is 3. There is another large update, which is very interesting, is I remember when I used to use Universal Analytics, and I still do on some of my accounts, but I'm trying to move everyone to GA4 as soon as possible. So using Universal Analytics, you had to write a lot of custom JavaScript in GTM or hard-coded if you wanted to track video plays or file downloads or using scrolls or lead gens or form submissions, etc. Now, all of that can be possible with just one button click, and Google Analytics 4 will calculate and track your video play, scroll, outbound links, or download links without a single line of JavaScript. That makes marketers' lives much easier. You don't have to chase around your JavaScript coder to get this implemented. The downside of this is you will probably need to change all your event codes. You'll probably have to rethink your entire measurement plan, and you'll need technical bandwidth to actually instrument all of this. Now, when it comes to goals and funnels, Universal Analytics was extremely limited, and it was rigid. Not only limited, but it was rigid. You were limited to goals number 20. You cannot have more than 20 goals, especially if you are using Google Analytics free version. If you are using Google Analytics Premium, of course, you had 250 goals. Sorry about that. But right now we are just comparing the free version. So you just had 20 goals. With Google Analytics 4, you can have unlimited goals, as many as you want. There is no limit on that. The biggest problem, the rigidity that I was referring to, was in Universal Analytics, goals and funnels had to be defined by admin, and they had to be defined in advance. Goals tracking and funnel tracking only started after you defined goal. So if you realize that if you have missed defining a goal, or if your business has come up with a new goal, you cannot have historical data for that, which was a big problem. That is not the case with Google Analytics 4. The moment you turn on the goal in Google Analytics 4, data doesn't start collecting from that moment like Universal Analytics, but it also shows you historical data for that event, which is now considered a goal, but data was always collected for that. In GA4, in Universal Analytics, you required admin interface to actually create goals and certain privileges. In GA4, every user can define his or her own goals. They don't have to be defined at the property level. That gives great flexibility when it comes to working with different departments. Every department may have a different goals. For marketing, it might be transactions. For product, it might be retentions or specific events in funnel, etc. So every department can define their own goals without really mingling or meddling with each other's goal. Biggest problem with Universal Analytics that in the funnel, you could only use page or screen. So URL or screen name was only dimension available to be used in funnel, especially in the free version of Google Analytics. In GA4, you can have events as well as specific parameters of events as funnel steps. For example, you're running an e-commerce site, and there is a funnel step where you want to track funnel separately for users who have landed or who have selected shoes as a category. So if you have event called category choice, and in that you want to create a different funnel for people who choose shoes, you can do that at a parameter level as well. Each category can have its own funnel. It gives great flexibility as well as robust data for a marketer or a product manager to take actions on. Here are some of the important tools that Google Analytics users should be using. Whether you're using Google Analytics 4 or Google Analytics Universal Analytics, which is the older version, these tools are still useful. First, of course, is report aggregation tools. I always advise my clients to use report aggregation tools to aggregate data from AdWords, Facebook, Analytics, or other third-party analytics softwares. Of course, as Parag has mentioned, Hevo data is one of those tools. I have used multiple of those tools, but using one of those tools is really important when you are doing multi-channel and multi-device marketing. Second is Event Builder. And we'll be sharing this deck with you. It has all the links to these tools as well as videos that I have mentioned. Event Builder is essentially a tool released by Google where you can build your own Google Analytics 4 events for server-to-server calls. Tag Assistant, Google has actually revamped the Tag Assistant. If you have used Tag Assistant in the past, it was a Chrome extension where you could check if your analytics or AdWords tags are working as expected. That is not the case anymore. It's actually tagassistant.google.com now, and it's not part of the Chrome extension. So if you have to test anything, you have to go to tagassistant.google.com and you can test your tags there. And it has been evolved from, at least from what I saw, it looks like it has been evolved from Google Tag Manager debug view. It looks a lot like debug view, so it's very robust and it's great tool for debugging or testing any of your Google Analytics or Google AdWords tags for that matter. URL Builder is another tool which is released by Google long back to build your UTM parameters. And you can use that just to make sure that you are not making any typos in UTM, etc. And if you want to learn GA, please do visit my channel at MyGrowth.Club on YouTube. And we release videos there almost every week about Google Analytics. Some of the missing features after like selling you almost why you should be using Google Analytics 4, these are like some of the missing features or caveats that we have on Google Analytics 4, which are still not available. So these are red flags in a way. Lot of integrations, third-party integrations are missing in Google Analytics 4. AdSense integration, if you're using Google AdSense integration doesn't exist in Google Analytics 4. DV360. Large advertisers use DV360 a lot, and DV360 integration does not exist in Google Analytics 4, at least till yesterday. I'm sure Google must be working on that to release that, but until now, it doesn't exist. If you're an SEO guy, this is a bit of a disappointment for you because there is no linking between Google Analytics 4 and Google Search Console. Traffic filtering limitations. Essentially, Universal Analytics had a very robust traffic filtering mechanism based on geos, based on host names, and all other stuff. In GA4, it is very limited to limiting your developer traffic or internal traffic. Calculated metrics. I loved this feature in Universal Analytics, where you can create your own calculated metrics, although there are some pre-built calculated metrics like CTR, conversion rate, etc. Let's say there is a metric that you want to track, let's say sessions per user, and you could have created that. Sorry about that. You could have created that in Universal Analytics simply by creating a calculated matrix where you put a formula, sessions divided by users. You can't do that in Google Analytics 4 right now. At least there is no way to build calculated metrics. Another important feature missing is annotations. Annotations, I loved annotations. You could put annotations for special days, special sale days. You could put annotations for holidays, long weekends, or anything which is out of ordinary, which basically changes your user behavior from the ordinary behavior for either higher or lower conversion rate, or higher retention, or higher traffic. All of that doesn't exist in GA4, no annotations. So you can't really flag specific days for anomaly or for strange user behavior. So these are some of the downsides of using GA4. At least right now they are. Some of the new exciting features, which may or may not actually cover for all the downsides that I have explained so far. BigQuery support, right? BigQuery export. In Universal Analytics, you could do BigQuery export of your Google Analytics data only and only if you are Google Analytics premium user, which usually would cost you upwards of $60,000. With GA4, that is not the case. You can export your Google Analytics data to BigQuery even as a free user. Not sure how long this feature is going to stay, but while it lasts, I think you should make merry. Predictive analytics, Google Analytics has launched some really nice predictive analytics features, predicting your revenue, predicting transaction, predicting user churn, predicting users who have high propensity of transaction within next X days. So predictive analytics and predictive audience, where you could define audience which have higher probability of converting, higher probability of churning, etc., and taking action on those audience by marketing messaging, is a great way forward for marketing and AI. So these two are amazing features which you are completely missing in Universal Analytics. Another feature which is driven by automation is automated anomaly detection. Some part of this was available in Universal Analytics, but it's considerably more robust in Google Analytics 4, where if at any given point of time, any of your metric is behaving out of ordinary, if it's behaving not like a normal day, then this anomaly detection can actually throw you anomaly where it can alert you that this is not as expected. This is not the usual behavior of the users. Something is wrong, so you should check it out. It can be either higher conversion rate, lower conversion rate, higher engagement rates, or higher traffic for that matter. And this takes into consideration everything, including weekends, weekdays, public holidays, etc. Give me a second. Are you ready for upgrade? So this is a question I think that you have to ask yourself as well as people in your organization. This is a large decision, and this is a decision that has many stakeholders, that if you want to upgrade to GA4 and are you ready to upgrade to GA4. There are some constraints that you have to work with. One is you're going to need tech bandwidth. You'll need to update all your event codes. You'll probably need to write your measurement plan from scratch. Do you have bandwidth for that? And do you have tech bandwidth to actually get it all accomplished? But at the end of the day, it's a matter of when. Eventually, you will have to upgrade. I don't know whether it's today or tomorrow or a year down the line, but eventually Google will make this mandatory to upgrade at some point in future. Reporting, if you have pre-built reports in your Universal Analytics, if you are consuming Universal Analytics data into third-party reporting softwares like Hevo for that matter, you will need to change those pipelines. You will need to change those reporting types, because the dimensions and metrics which existed in Universal Analytics, some of them do not exist in Google Analytics 4, which means you might have to redefine your data and redefine your reporting structure. Training, I think this is one of the most important and underrated parts, because there have been so many changes in Google Analytics 4. It's important that you and your team actually get trained on this. For that, you need time and budget. So this is a question, again, you have to ask yourself that, do you have bandwidth? Do you have budget to get training on Google Analytics 4 at this point of time? And because, as I have mentioned, there are few features which are missing from Google Analytics 4, it's important that you actually may have to run Universal Analytics and GA4 parallelly for a few months before you can switch over completely, which again means that you need more bandwidth to analyze data in both systems. Now, what if you don't upgrade? If you decide not to upgrade, then what you're going to miss on is all the new features since October have been released for GA4. Universal Analytics is not getting any new features, let's face that, which means that all the new features that are being released, you'll stay away from it. They will not help better your marketing decisions. And that is, in a way, a big loss for any marketer. Reduced support. I have already seen instances where the support for Universal Analytics is kind of waning. It's not gone down as of now, but I'm sure it will taper down as time goes along. And one of the advantages of not upgrading, of course, is integrations. If you are using DV360, if you are using Search Console, or if you are using AdSense, I think it's better to stay with UA at least for a while before these integrations are built into GA4. What's coming? So what do you expect in next 6 months probably from GA4? As you may or may not be aware, Chrome is retiring third-party cookies. Third-party cookies are retiring next year sometime, probably early next year. Once those cookies retire, Universal Analytics is going to be hampered in a large way because it depends a lot on third-party cookies. But with GA4, there are certain mechanisms which actually can fill the gap of those third-party cookies dependencies. which Google I think will be releasing in Google AdWords and other systems as well. It's named Flock, which is federated learning of cohorts. But that's the subject for another session, guys, not for this one. So as third-party cookies go away, it's going to be hard to stay on universal analytics because it may not make a lot of sense. Prediction features is something I expect even more predictive analytics from Google Analytics 4 in near future, probably in a quarter or so, and stronger cross-platform analytics. If you're using app and web both, or app as well as offline transaction metrics, Google Analytics 4 is going to be considerably more prominent and considerably more robust than universal analytics. So this is it from my end at this session. I like to stop this with one of my favorite quotes: what gets measured gets managed. The important part is to make sure that we measure everything that matters for a marketer to make the smart marketing decisions. Measuring them and storing the data is important. When you need that data, you may or may not know. So let's make sure we are measuring each and every step of the user, each and every measurement that you can use in the marketing decision making. Thanks a lot. Parag, over to you.
Thanks, Nikhil, for this, for all the insights that you have shared with all of us. So before we take the questions, can you just walk us through again on the GA demo account part?
Yeah, sure. Just a second.
So, yeah, and also you have shown that Google merchandising data, so that is available. How that can be accessed?
Cool. You can see my Google Analytics account on the screen, right?
Yes.
Okay, so essentially this is Google Analytics data. There are two Google Analytics demo account. One is called Floodit, and second is called Google Merchandise Center, Google Merchandise Store. Sorry. So Google Merchandise Store is this account which I'm showing you right now. And in this account, as you can see, this is an e-commerce account. So if you are running an e-commerce business and you want to see how Google Analytics 4 looks on e-commerce for e-commerce metrics, you should look at Google Merchandise Store. And in that also, there are two options. One is you can actually view Google Merchandise Store in older UA version, which is Universal Analytics, and newer Google Analytics 4 version. So this is Google Analytics 4 version of the same data of Google Merchandise Store. And Google Merchandise Store is a real website where Google actually sells the goodies, the t-shirts, hoodies, or mouse pads and stuff like that with Google logo. I'm not sure who actually buys that stuff, but yeah, apparently there are enough buyers to show 65,000 revenue in last 7 days for that stuff. So this is one of the accounts, which is Google Merchandise Store account, which can be used for e-commerce reporting or demo of e-commerce reporting. And the other is Floodit. Just a second, I'll just wait for it to load. So Floodit is actually a game. It's available on a Play Store. You should play it. It's a fun game. I loved it. I played it and I loved it. Now this specific account is actually built as a gaming reporting account. As you can see on my left hand top corner, there is this option called games reporting. So what Google Analytics has done is metrics are similar, but games reporting does require different type of reports. So they have actually pre-built multiple these reports in the game reporting interface. So if you are a gamer or if you are representing a gaming company, you can actually look at this to build your own dashboards as well.
Got it. And how you can access that? Let's say if a user already has a GA account.
Yeah, essentially all you have to do is, it's very simple. Go to google.com, search for Google Analytics demo account, click on the first link and you will land here. As simple as that. As long as you have Google account, valid Google account, that's all it needs. You don't even need Google Analytics account for that. You can just access it with Google account.
Perfect.
Cool. Should we take questions?
Yes. So just one more thing on, because we are on the dashboard. So just wanted to understand if a user, a GA user, a Universal Analytics user want to migrate to Google Analytics 4, then where is that option to migrate from the older version.
Yes. So I'll just go to an older version account. Then I'll just show you. So here in the, right now I'm not admin for this account because this is a demo account. But if you are an admin, you will get a message here to upgrade, to prompting you to upgrade. And all you have to do is click on it and it will give you new code. But more importantly, before you upgrade, you have to make sure that you have the measurement plan as well as the migration plan ready. It's a huge change. There is no way you should upgrade it without planning for it. You are at risk to lose data by doing so.
Got it. All right. So with this, I think we can move on, to the Q&A session. So I'll just read out questions that we've got from all the attendees. I'll just read out one by one, and maybe Nikhil can answer those questions.
It's okay. Parag, I can read. I mean, there is no point in like repeating the question again.
Okay, perfect.
So I'll start from the top, which I think is the earliest question, is from Divya, and he or she, I'm not sure if it's he or she, but he or she wants to ask, what is SLA? SLA is service level agreement. Essentially, if you are a large company, and you are storing your data in Google Analytics or any other analytics platform, you would want to get into some kind of contractual obligation with the company that is providing you with the analytics services to make sure your data is safe, it's accessible, and it's retrievable. And that contractual obligation is essentially SLA, which is service level agreement. Hope that makes sense. Could you please cover GA demo account access part? I think I already did cover that as Parag asked that. If you have any specific questions around that, please post it again here, no problem. How does GA compare with Amplitude, Mixpanel, Segment, etc.? And can we replace these tools with GA4 for mobile apps? Or say for an e-commerce site or SaaS app? Yes and no. So how does it compare with, let's say, Amplitude, right? Amplitude is a very robust system, which has evolved a lot over last couple of years. I personally love Amplitude. GA4 is very close to Amplitude. It can do almost everything that Amplitude can. And of course, it has raw data access now with BigQuery. Mixpanel is almost like Mixpanel is almost like a clone of GA4. You can do almost everything that you can do with Mixpanel with GA4, barring one part where in Mixpanel you can actually do marketing automation. GA4 is not meant for any action. It doesn't help you do any marketing automation, at least right now. It only helps you to analyze data, not to act on that data. So that is one downside when you compare with Mixpanel. Segment, I think Segment is a completely different type of a tool itself. I wouldn't call it a web or app analytics tool per se. It has considerably different and more uses than a web analytics tool. So I would never ever replace Segment with GA4 in dreams. GA4 can be used for mobile apps to some extent, but not for attribution. For attribution, you still have to rely on branch, apps flyer, adjust, etc. Hope that answers your question. For the BigQuery export, are we still limited to 10 GB storage? That really depends on, I mean, BigQuery export from the BigQuery, if you are exporting outside, I'm not sure about those limits, what they are. I don't think there are any limits of importing from GA to BigQuery. From BigQuery, if you are exporting outside BigQuery, I'm not sure what those limits are and what kind of charges that you can occur for exporting. How do we access any one of it? Okay, I'm not sure what.
No, we have already covered these questions.
Okay, cool. This is for a demo account, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, but can you explain third-party cookie ban hampers UA activities and how GA4 tackles it? Okay, so Right now, it is a little bit hazy. It's not very clear picture on what exactly is going to happen to third-party cookies, when it's going to happen, and how it's going to impact us. So for example, Safari did this a couple of years ago, where they limited the tracking of third-party cookies by a great margin. It didn't really impact Google Analytics by a great margin because it was whitelisted as a service. But if third-party cookies completely cease to exist and there is no first-party alternative, or right now, if you look at it technically, GA cookies can be considered as first-party cookies as they are same domain cookies. But with intelligent tracking like Safari launched last year, if that can be part of Chrome update as well, then it will probably hamper you from tracking users who choose not to be tracked. Now, the key question here is choice. Users will have choice of getting tracked or not, which right now is the same case with the iOS 14. With iOS 14, users have choice of being tracked or not. And majority of users are choosing not to be tracked. So once that happens, it's not very clear, but most probably it will hamper universal analytics tracking by a great margin for a third-party cookies. How GA4 tackles it, again, is not very clear. It's hazy, but essentially it will use some technology similar to Flock. Flock is federated learning of cohorts, where one cohort is essentially minimum of 50 people, 50 similar people. Minimum, it can be larger than that, but minimum of 50 people. And using those signals, some of the gaps in the behavior analytics can be actually plugged by Flock system, which are missing by third-party cookies. But right now, as I said, it's still in proposal stage. There is not a lot of clarity on it, but more or less consensus is that it will definitely hamper analytics capabilities. Can we switch back to UA mode anytime? You can't switch back, unfortunately. What I would suggest is you can run two parallel properties. You can run one property on UA, which for the same website, that is for the same website or app. You have one UA property as is, and you create another property for GA4. Get used to it, understand how it works, whether you are comfortable with it, and then you can turn off UA property. So you can't switch back, but you can run two properties parallelly. How we can apply filters on views in UA, but how does that work in data streams? Can I apply filters? Filters can be applied, but the capability of those filters is considerably limited at this point of time. It is limited to basically limiting your developer traffic or your internal traffic. Beyond that, there are severe limitations on that. So in UA, you could have created filters for specific traffic source or specific host, etc. Right now, you can't do that with GA4. How can we learn more about GA4? Just subscribe to my channel and I keep uploading videos every week. Okay, funnel, right? Funnel in Google Analytics 4 is quite a vast concept. It will be very difficult to explain that in brief here. But I am going to upload a video soon, probably in next couple of days, about funnel. So do subscribe to my channel and you can check it out there.
Okay, so we have some questions, a few more questions in the Q&A window.
Okay, I must have missed that.
Okay, so can you see that, or should I?
Actually, I can't.
Okay. Let me go through them one by one.
Okay.
Can we get unsampled data if we export our GA4 data to BigQuery?
So right now, the sampling rules for GA and UA are same. So if you have a very large traffic website, probably a million or more hits, million or more visitors a month, and I don't think you'll run into sampling for up to like 20 million hits, which is 20 million events a month. If you are going to have larger website than that, strictly technically speaking, the sampling limits for both are same. But in practical experience, I have seen Google Analytics 4 face considerably lesser sampling issues compared to Universal Analytics, but that can be anomaly or that can be a misrepresentation as well. Strictly technically speaking, both systems have same sampling limits right now.
Got it. So here is the next one. So for a product manager, which is the most useful tool, GA4, Adobe Analytics, or Amplitude, and why?
If I have to answer it hand on my heart, I would love to say Adobe Analytics. Adobe Analytics is amazingly flexible tool. It gives you considerably more insights than and flexibility than any other tool. Unfortunately, the challenge with Adobe Analytics, the instrumentation of Adobe Analytics is a nightmare. Uh, Finding talent on Adobe Analytics, the analysts who actually can run that monolith system of Adobe uh, is another challenge. So although the tool is great, all and all for practical purposes, if you really want to use a tool, I would probably choose GA4. Although again, Amplitude also is a great tool, but it's not probably as user friendly as GA4. Adobe is amazingly user friendly, but managing Adobe and getting talent for Adobe is absolutely nightmare.
Got it. Here is the next one from Arpit. How do we configure e-commerce events in GA4 like we used to do in enhanced e-commerce in GA?
So in GA4, there is no enhanced e-commerce as such. The enhanced e-commerce actually came about because the original e-commerce instrumentation which GA came out with wasn't really great. It was poor, to say the least. So they came up with enhanced e-commerce as a patchwork to that. GA4 doesn't have enhanced e-commerce because it's already enhanced. So you don't have to call it enhanced e-commerce. But all of what can be done in enhanced e-commerce can be done with GA4. Of course, it will require code change, but it can be done, and considerably more can be done with GA4 than enhanced e-commerce.
Got it. Here is the next one from Mani J. How does Hevo fit in with GA? Do I link my data to Hevo, push it to a data warehouse, and then connect back to GA Analytics, or GA will connect directly to my data sources? Okay, so I'll take this one.
Yeah.
So Hevo provides 100 plus integrations with different data sources, including a lot of marketing tools that a lot of marketers are usually using, be it Google Analytics, be it Adobe Analytics, or even a lot of attribution tools, or a lot of ad platforms like Bing, or Google Analytics, Google AdWords, all of these platforms. So Hevo provides ready to use connectors, which are just like plug and play. So you don't have to spend time in developing and maintaining these connectors. So you can just directly use Hevo to connect with these with your accounts, with these different accounts or different data sources. You can just unify your data. You can store that data in a data warehouse or Hevo managed data warehouse for that matter, and then you can actually connect that unified data in any of your CRM or any of the marketing automation tool that you guys might be using. So your sales, marketing, customer success, customer support team will have a unified or 360-degree view of all your customers. So that helps you in running all the personalized campaign. It will help you get more conversions. It will also help you in decision making, creating reports on top of it. So there are a lot of advantages of unifying your data. So that's where Hevo comes into picture. So it will basically help you aggregate or integrate all of your data and clean it, prepare that data for all your analytics needs, and you can just have that data in any of your analytics reporting tool right away. So that's where Hevo comes into picture. All right, so moving on. How does, okay, so it is the next one. How does GA compare with other analytics platforms like Adobe Analytics? I think you have already
That
mentioned that.
we just took that.
Okay. Okay. The GA demo analytics for, okay, so the demo account that you have just shown for Google Analytics, is it available for multiple industries or just these two industries?
Right now, it's only for gaming and e-commerce. I don't think they will have more accounts for more verticals, because that will be just, waste of energy and money. This is essentially a demo. You can't have demo for each and every vertical. But essentially, because it has all the data, you can create your own custom reports which are important or relevant to your industry. So the interface itself may not be pre-built for your industry. Your custom reports can be pre-built for your industry, and you have all the freedom to create any custom reports you want in the demo account as well.
Cool. Here is the next one from Sachin. Could you please explain the events in GA4?
Okay, so essentially in Universal Analytics, events were limited to 3 dimensions: category, action, label. But so everything, all the information that you had about the event had to be cramped against 3 dimensions only. Wherein in GA4, first of all, these 3 dimensions can be 25 dimensions. You can have 25 dimensions to define your event. On top of that, those are not predefined as category, action, label, or anything else. You can have custom names for those keys as you want. So you have an event called level up. So event name is level, and then you don't have to say category is equal to level 3. You can say level up is equal to 3 or anything like that. So that gives you complete flexibility to use it as per your wish, and whatever parameters you want to pass there according to your own industry type.
Cool. So here is the next one from Varsha. Can we enable cross-device tracking in GA?
Well, theoretically speaking, you can enable cross-device tracking in any analytics system. You can enable in Universal Analytics as well, using the user ID feature and the custom dimension in Universal Analytics. But it has several limitations. More importantly, with GA4, it has some its inherent capacities to actually track users across devices, largely using probably fingerprinting mechanism or something like that, which still is not clear. But yeah, it will be considerably more robust reporting than what it was in Universal Analytics for cross-device reporting, especially because of the property and streams infrastructure that they have instead of properties and views. So that should be it. But yeah, I mean, it should be considerably more robust. But theoretically speaking, you can do cross-device with any system. It doesn't have to be a very robust system.
Cool. I think that's about it. So if you have any questions related to Google Analytics, then please reach out to Nikhil. He has his website, or you can also reach out to him on LinkedIn. If you have any questions about Hevo or Hevo Activate, then you can just sign up for a free trial, or we also have a free version of the product. You can try that out and see how Hevo can fit well in your use case in solving your complex data challenges. All right. So the next one is we have recently launched a marketing analytics masterclass named as Decode. So it's a 7-course virtual masterclass, specially curated by global marketing experts for data-driven marketers and growth analysts. So we already have thousands of marketers who have already signed up for this course, and they are enjoying the content. So if you want to sign up, then just It's a free course, so you can sign up right away for this course by visiting our website www.hevodata.com/decode. So join us today for this masterclass and learn how to harness the real power of your data and analytics to drive business growth. With this, I would like to thank all the attendees for joining us today, and special thanks to Nikhil for sharing all of these valuable insights. If you have any questions or feedback about this session, then please write to me at parag, P-A-R-A-G, @hevodata.com.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Parag. Thanks a lot for hosting me. And thanks everyone for attending.
Thank you. So see you all at our next event. Till then, take care and stay safe.